Welcome back to Definitely Not Definitive. I'm Ken.
And I'm Bethany.
And we're just a disarmingly dorky couple in love. Let's react to some Dishonored.
We are dorky, and hopefully that's disarming.
Yeah, and so it's Triple Trailer Tuesday, people.
Woohoo.
But we don't have trailers. It's 3 episodes from Tales from Dunwall, which were kind of trailers for Dishonored, like a little story that they have going on. I don't know exactly what it's all about. I know it has to do with Dishonored. That's that much we've established. And we've been told to check it out. So that's what we're going to do. And if you want all of our Dishonored reactions, we've checked out some stuff from like Stealth Gamer, him like killing people and going all stealthy in high chaos mode. And also a bunch of trailers. Go ahead and check out the description of this video. We got playlists there for you.
Yeah, we watch other people do stealth.
Because we can't do stealth.
Yeah, it's true.
So we aspire to be...
We aspire to be stealthy.
All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
His name was Esmond Roseborough, and Dunwall was his last hope. He had dedicated his life to knowledge and progress, but throughout the Isles, no one would listen. The whale yards were no place for a natural philosopher, but he had nowhere else to go. The poor and hungry gathered there, hoping for a few scraps, and Roseborough wondered if he would soon share their fate. But then, he saw something that made him realize his entire life's work was a waste, and it brought a smile to his face. Roseborough's discovery breathed new life into Dunwall. It made him rich beyond his wildest dreams, but he never took his success for granted. So when young Anton Sokolov came to him with a radical new idea, he couldn't help but give him a chance. Sokolov's ideas ushered Dunwall into a new era of technology. But over time, Roseborough learned that sometimes progress comes at too great a cost. It's a funny thing, ambition. It can take one to sublime heights or harrowing depths. And sometimes they are one and the same.
Oh, okay. Dark.
Roseborough learned that lesson all too well.
Super happy fun times.
Yeah, right.
Jeez.
Okay, so don't ever want to live in Dunwall. Check.
Once there was a boy who knew only fear and loneliness. The boy had heard stories of better days when Dunwall was a peaceful place. But to him, that's all they were. Stories. Adults could be cruel, but it was the other children who were truly wicked. So he did the only thing he could, hide in the alleys away from the other boys. Find comfort from his only real friend.
Just your whiskers.
That night he realized he wasn't alone. As the outsider approached, the boy barely even noticed as his hand began to itch. From then on, the boy felt different. He was no longer afraid, and he sought out his tormentors. He swarmed over them with the stuff of nightmares. No one would be safe. But he wasn't careful. A gift so powerful can be taken away as easily as it is given. All it takes is a single bite. As his eyes began to weep, he searched in vain for the outsider, but found himself alone once again. He only wanted to see the outsider one last time to thank him, for he would no longer live in fear. For what little life he had left.
Also, this one had a happy ending.
It's like he had the Skaven army at his beckoning.
Yeah, I know, right? Or was that one we watched with the rat that was like in charge?
Oh,
Willard or something?
Yeah, Willard.
Piero couldn't remember when he'd last slept. The Empress was dead. Dunwall was crumbling and the plague was spreading.
Fancy mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
At night, the dreams haunted him. They were always the same. Visions of a young boy dying an agonizing death. But he knew it was no dream.
Oh my gosh. Madness.
For Piero, the work was always the same. A handful of coin, a whisper. It should have been easy. Instead, he'd lost his way. He was a gifted man, but now, even this simple task seemed impossible. Rats, disease, death. The nightmare had become an obsession. But when the dreams came this time, the boy was gone, and there was a hole in the world. He looked into the void and saw death itself staring back at him. And finally, Piero knew what he had to do. It would be his greatest creation.
It's the rats.
Who it was for did not concern him. In due time, all would be revealed.
Cool. Those were really cool. I love the artwork for them. The narration was great, and I think my favorite one was the second one, where the kid and gets the rat army, but then lets the power too much and takes control of him. He ends up dying, but it was like sad at the end there, but it was also like I don't know, it's like poetic too. He talks about the fact that he's no longer scared. It's like for what little life that he had left. I don't know. It was just like, it was dark and depressing, but I still really enjoyed it.
This almost sort of had like a Tim Burton-esque vibe for me.
Yeah.
Where I think like Tim Burton had a collection of short stories that I read at one point during college. And this kind of has that feeling. I'm like, oh, you could expand on any one of these or collectively all of them to be a Tim Burton movie.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the use of color within the artwork. I loved that it was all black and white and gray except for one thing that they highlighted. So in the first it was the blue, then the second it was the red. The brightness of the gold coins in the third one. It was so brilliantly done to showcase certain elements of the story in the artwork. And the second and third one collectively, I think, got to me, probably in part because I'm currently reading a book called Hamnet, which is on the Black Death. And the chapter that I literally just read is fabulously written because they follow the life of the flea. The flea that starts it off. So it's the flea that gets to the rat, that gets to the cat, that gets to the scarf of the person that shakes hands with the boy, that infects the boy. The way that they trace it is just so fascinating and brilliant. And so it made me think of that as like you saw the boy get bit by the rat and then like the blood and he collapses. And I was just like, oh, I'm in like a freaky theme for the past 24 hours that is a bit dark and depressing, but fascinating.
Yeah. And then the first one with kind of like having good intentions and just like how those can be twisted around and used for evil and for yeah. I'm like, I mean, just with made me think of like electricity and how that was turned into the electric chair. What was the movie that was that was in? So it was Edison and Tesla, and they were going back and forth like about like what was the best way for like to provide electricity for everybody, and it was Edison, right, that didn't want, like he had created electricity, but he never wanted it used for like a bad purpose. But like in order to try to curry favor with people, like he ended up kind of showing them how it can be used for like the electric chair. And then like, I don't remember the exact specifics of it, but like, I do remember that, in the quest for good, it ended up creating something bad, like the the electric chair that had never wanted to create it.
And I think that's so often why people are so, I think, of a strong opinion when it comes to ambition, whether it's personal ambition or ambition in others. It's like, parents will be upset with their kids if they don't feel they're ambitious enough in school or striving for good enough grades. And like, you know, it can have a negative connotation of being lazy or unmotivated. At the same time, when you're super ambitious, the negative connotation is like you're greedy and self-serving.
Yeah.
You know, so I think ambition can be a wonderful thing depending on what you are actually being driven by. If you're being driven by yourself or money, it's of course going to lead to a not so happy ending. And also having people around you to keep you in check. Because, you know, he did seem to start out with good intentions. He strove to great heights, and it said he never took it for granted, which I think is kind of rare. People tend to take their wealth and success for granted. So it seems like, oh, he's got a right mindset. And then all of a sudden, man, do they flip it on you with a 180.
Yeah.
And one thing that they never talked about was him having anyone around him. I think that's pretty key. Like people who know you and will keep you honest and keep you true to yourself at times when perhaps ambition or success or wealth or whatever is going to try and pull you away from that.
You'll let us know what you thought about this down below in the comments. And if you want all of our Dishonored reactions, check out the description of this video. We got playlists there for you. Thanks so much for checking out our reaction for Dishonored Tales from Dunwall, but just keep in mind
that our reaction is definitely not definitive.